Hello and welcome to Saturday Night Shoggy. I will be your host for tonight. My name is Marion, aka Microwavy on Twitter, and with me today I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts VLord and Sakaki. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello. It feels weird not being the host for once. I'm actually free.
Oh man. It's gonna take a while to get used to this, but I did volunteer for the role, and you know what? We're gonna have some fun with this.
Indeed.
But yeah, Saturday Night Shoggy, or SNS, is a new Shogakukan podcast. Basically, it's Sakaki's brainchild because he runs the WSS Talkback Twitter, and we go on plenty of tangents about Shogakukan in general, and we decided, you know what? Let's just podcast about it. So here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I take all the blame for all the tangents over all of the podcasts that I'm on with everybody. I always find some way to bring up Sunday, and it's just like, you know what? Here I can have all the time I want to talk about it. The only reason I'm not the host is because I don't have Marion's personality, though. We need somebody with charisma.
You flatter me.
We need somebody with charisma. I'm more the back. Guy that's in the back making sure everything runs.
I don't think anyone has Marion's charisma. They are too powerful.
This is very true.
Thank you. I blame retail for having me speak to people constantly.
I wish I had gotten like 5% of what you got, because as long as I've worked in retail, but I've learned nothing.
I was basically pushed into like manager positions, so
that would explain it. Yeah.
Yeah. But this we're aiming to make this a monthly podcast. We're basically going to cover any news that comes out for like the magazine in general, and like the publisher, I guess, because it's not just Weekly Shonen Sunday. Sometimes we might talk about, you know, the monthly magazine or the digital Sunday web read, whatever, you know, we feel is worth talking about. And for this episode, we're gonna have a rundown for, you know, what news came out this month. We have Relord's going to talk to us about the English February releases for, you know, all of the licensed Shoggy manga that's going to be coming out. And after that, Sakaki's going to talk to us about, you know, any highlights of the magazine. After that, we're going to have like a little introduction for everyone. Like, we're going to explain how we got into like Shogakukan manga in general, and yeah, that should be it. This is more of a primer, like an episode 0 type of thing. So, yeah,
okay,
yeah. And maybe now, whenever we do our other podcasts, there'll be less Shogakukan tangents.
No, no.
Bold of you to assume that.
Exactly. No, you should know by now.
I'm gonna be editing them out for the rest of my life, I think.
I mean, if you keep editing them, then you'll be able to make podcast episodes without us. You can just edit everything we say on every other podcast into an episode.
That'll just
could.
That could just be our Patreon content for this podcast.
Exactly.
all of our excerpts from our other podcast projects. God. What do you guys want to start with first? Should we go into the English releases?
VLord?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through that really quickly here.
All right.
Yeah, so this month we have a total of... Actually, let me count this.
This is a lot. This is a chunky boy.
Indeed.
Okay, 11 new releases.
God damn.
Yeah, some of them are bigger than others. Specifically, 4 of them are brand new titles releasing in English, which is really cool. And I'm going to specifically highlight those really quickly. First of which, popping up on February 2nd, we had The Kingsbeast. Now, this is a title by Ray Toma. And it takes place in the same universe as one of their previous titles. And I read this recently, and it's really good, so I would highly recommend it. It's kind of a action drama of sorts, a bit of a revenge story as well. Really nice.
VLord, would you mind telling our fans what part of Shogakukan they can read this in? We aren't just focusing on the weekly Sunday. So where did this particular title be published in Japan?
Yeah, so this title was published in the shoujo magazine Cheese.
Hey, yo, cheese.
Yeah,
I like cheese.
I like cheese too. And I guess Shogakukan also likes cheese because they named one of their magazines that.
Oh, I get it. It's because it's a shoujo title, and those are cheesy, huh?
Which is funny because this series is not cheesy at all. It's kind of very deep and emotional.
Much like a good Aguda, right?
This is why
you were going to say something, Sakaki?
No. I was just gonna say this when Marion's out. No. I was just gonna say that yeah, shoujo magazines have weird names in Japan. So we have going away from Shogakukan conference, we have Margaret, we have Xiao, we have all kinds of things. So dessert. Cheese, there you go. Yeah, dessert. So cheese is just kind of like that. I'm just sensitized to it by now.
Yeah, but Ray Toma has published quite a few of their series in Cheese. One of their notable works, Dawn of Arcana, which takes place in the same universe as the Kingsbeast, was also published there. That went on for 13 volumes, and Viz also licensed that.
Nice.
So, based on this first volume here, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a similar length series, but I had a really great first impression of it. I know Sakaki's girlfriend, Jekka, also really liked it. So, who knows? Maybe we'll talk about it eventually on this podcast, but I gave it a big thumbs up.
Nice. I do like some shoujo, so I'm down to check this out.
Yeah, I want to read this too. I mean, I'm not as well versed in the shoujo side of Shogakukan, so it's about time I learned something.
And it's interesting too, because like quite a few shoujo and josei titles from Shogakukan are starting to get licensed. Less so from Viz, but more from like 7 Seas and Yen. And we'll even end up bringing up another one here by the end too. But moving on a bit, on February 16th, we have 2 titles dropping. The first one is Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. This is written by Haro Aso, who is well known for Hiding Closer and Alice in Borderland, which recently got a live-action adaptation on Netflix.
That's true. I did hear about that.
And this live-action feature was actually the highest-rated Japanese originated program on Netflix for its time. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard like relatively decent things about it too, so that is a good sign. I'm surprised that this got licensed over Alice in Borderland, but
yeah,
you never know. Maybe Zom is going to have an anime soon.
That sounds about right. And I mean, yeah, also Alice is getting a season 2, so that's something else to keep in mind.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe Alice in Borderland will end up getting licensed by the time season 2 drops.
Nice.
Yeah, but the art for this series is done by Kotaro Takata. They've done a few smaller works in the past. Specifically, I Am Sherlock and Hallelujah Overdrive. And Zom 100 is published in Japan in the magazine Sunday GX, which I believe is also where Black Lagoon is published, and also previously Jormungand.
Yes, that is where those were both published.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so really cool. I actually read this manga, I think like 30 minutes before we started recording, and I absolutely loved it. It's so fun.
Yeah, I read it a couple weeks ago. I really well, hey, we're going to disclose our past here. I actually used to translate Hide and Closer before it got picked up by Viz, and then I respectfully let it go. But so I've been kind of with Aso for a bit, And of course, when I heard this got licensed, I had to read it, and it's very, very good, very much fun. Like, definitely, you should give this one a look. See if you're just it. The premise itself is hilarious, and then how the characters react to each other and everything. It's also really good, just in the sense of what would you do if you knew if there was a zombie outbreak and you knew your time was limited. What would you do at that time? That's what this series. The question the series asks. And I think it's doing a pretty good job of answering that question.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, one thing that really stuck out to me and I found amusing is, like, when the zombie apocalypse happens in this series, the main character, Akira, he doesn't really care at all. He's just like, oh my god, I finally don't have to go back to my job, because he was working for a black company, which are, like, companies, like, notoriously known for, like, overwork in Japan. But yeah, it's just so fun, and like the artwork's amazing, and it finds this really good balance between like comedic relief and just like still grappling with the fact that like, hey, they're in like an apocalyptic setting where people are dying still.
Yeah, I did see like a couple screen caps of the art, and you know, I vehemently don't care about like zombie media in general, but I think you've managed to convince me to like take the plunge and at least read the first volume, so I'll be looking forward to that.
One thing I'll also say is that the lettering is fantastic. It's done by Vanessa Satone, who I believe did Burn the Witch and a bunch of other series in the past.
I think she does One Piece too.
Yeah, she's like a lettering legend at this point.
Oh god.
So yeah, I highly recommend it just for the localization alone. It's really good. Carla Clark was the editor, Jimmy Pressler was the designer, and it was translated by Nova Skipper. So overall, really good staff there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and right, we're not even that far from behind Japan, because Volume 7, I don't know if it came out January 12th, but I think around that time is when we got the 7th volume was released. So, and Vince is moving along. Like, the Volume 2 is due out in May, so, you know, it probably won't be long until they catch up.
Yeah, I mean, if they stick to the, I guess, quarterly schedule, since every 3 months, like, yeah, they'll be caught up fairly quickly, I'd say.
Oh, okay, and I just looked up the Japanese site. Volume 8 is actually due out in Japan May 2021. So when we're getting Volume 2, Japan will be getting Volume 8.
So I guess we'll be having that 6-volume gap there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Viz picking up something like this it's likely we might see an anime soon, which I would definitely be down for.
Yeah, and I mean, regardless whether it gets an anime or not, it's also just a really fun read. So yeah. Go get it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the other series that's dropping on the 16th, that's a brand new series, is Assassin's Creed Blade of Xiao Jun. This is based off the Assassin's Creed China game, which was like one of the spin-off games, I believe. I am not the hugest Assassin's Creed fan, but I am vaguely familiar with it. But this is specifically adapted, or the manga itself is made by Mindoji Kurata, and this is published also in Sunday GX.
I didn't even know there was an Assassin's Creed manga.
I knew of it, but I didn't know it was in GX.
Yeah, and I haven't had time to like fully read through it yet, but I will say the art is really good. So that's a big plus there. And the other thing I do know about it and how I heard about it in the first place is that the amazing letterer Brandon Bovia is doing the lettering and retouch for it.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, it is translated by Caleb Cook, designed by Francesca Truman, and edited by the David brothers. That is a amazing localization team right there.
That's the whole God Squad. What the fuck?
Wow. Okay, yeah, I need to read this.
Yeah, like, full disclosure, I got both this and Zom as review copies from Viz, and I primarily got this one because of the localization staff. Like, when I heard, like, yeah, Caleb Cook, Brandon Bovia, and David Brothers all on one release, that's like, let's go.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that you read it, like, content be damned. At least that's worth a volume worth of reading, if nothing else.
Yeah, and I mean, not to hype up Brandon too much, but anything he works on is at least very pretty to look at. Just because he does such an amazing job with his lettering.
I completely agree.
Amen to that.
And we were speaking of kind of Shoujo Josei Shoggy earlier, and Yen Press has a Shoggy title out this month on February 23rd, and that is Golden Japanese-esque.
You mean Japanesque?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how to pronounce it. It's like Japanesque, Japanese-esque.
I think it's Japanesque.
It might be Japanesque, yeah. The subtitle's like A Splendid Yokohama Romance.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the page for it. It looks really nice. Something about shoujo artwork with like the really big eyes and like flowy hair is just lovely.
Hey, it's lasted this long for a reason.
The art here definitely look. Oh, God, Sakaki.
No, I was just saying that that kind of artwork has endured for a reason. That's all I was saying.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. And yeah, this is done by Kaho Miyasaka, and it's published in And Flower as well as Cheese, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so And Flower is kind of like, if I had to put a way to explain it, it's like there's shoujo magazines which are analogous with shonen, which are meant for young boys and for shoujo young girls. Shogakukan essentially with And Flower is kind of trying to bridge that gap between josei and shoujo. So that's where this And Flower kind of falls between. I can't remember if it's online only or if it has a physical magazine, but I remember doing some research on it, and that's what I found. It's kind of like in the middle. You're not quite the adult yet, but not a little kid either.
Yeah, because I remember Flowers is kind of like their flagship josei mag, because that's where like the Fushigi Yugi spinoff ran. That's where I think a bunch of Akemi Yoshida creator Banana Fish's work land, Seven Seas, Basara, stuff like that.
Okay, these are things I didn't know.
We should definitely cover some shoujo and josei on the pod at some point, because I think all of us are not super familiar with that side of Shoggy for the most part. So I think it would be interesting to break out of our comfort zone a bit.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, especially for just doing for WSS TV, that's the one thing I will say that we're lacking in coverage for, because like shonen, seinen, I'm pretty good at catching up with those, but shoujo I'm always lacking in it.
Yeah, and to be fair, even for like Shueisha and Kodansha, you see far less people talking about the shoujo and josei titles than you do like the big shonen seinen titles.
And it's unfortunate. I mean, especially in the case of Shogakukan, because like Inio Asano even said at one point himself that like Shogakukan seinen magazine line, big comic, and all of those, that's like the standard of seinen in Japan. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot more of them being brought over, thank goodness. But yeah, that's like the standard. Maybe Shonen Sunday isn't known. Maybe Shogakukan isn't known for their shonen. But yeah, that's where the big money is for them.
Yeah, for sure. And outside of the series that are brand new debuting this month, there are quite a few continuing titles here. First of which we have Hayate the Combat Butler Volume 37, coming to print and digital on February 9th. Pokemon Adventures Collector's Edition Volume 6, coming to print on February 9th. Komi Can't Communicate Volume 11, coming to print and digital February 9th. Mermaid Saga Collector's Edition Volume 2, coming to print and digital February 16th. Urusei Yatsura Volume 9, coming to print and digital February 16th. And then we have 2 digital-only releases here. Volumes 23 and 24 of RIN-NE coming digitally on February 23rd. And also on the 23rd, Hayate, the Combat Butler, Volumes 25 and 26, which are also digital-only. For those who don't know, RIN-NE and Hayate, the Combat Butler, for a good stretch of their runs, did not get digital releases. It was only, I think, last year that they started doing digital releases for either of them, so there was a good gap that Viz had to kind of catch up on there. And I think by either June or July this year, we'll finally have that gap filled. So if you're looking to collect either RIN-NE or Hayate in digital, this year is a very good time to do so.
By the way, I mean, I know this is outside of what we're talking about now, but how long do we have until RIN-NE is like fully released? I know they sped up recently, right?
Yeah, so last year they sped up RIN-NE to every other month from every 4 months, which was kind of crazy. And we've all had our theories on like why that is. Maybe they just kind of want to get done with it because it's not a huge seller, or maybe they're gonna get that team to go work on Mao, which will probably sell a lot better.
Yeah, because that's likely what it is too. I mean, Mao, not to go too much into it, is basically everything that people love with Inuyasha, but better. So,
yeah, I mean it's basically a modern Inuyasha. So Yashahime, if it wasn't bad.
basically.
Yeah, but yeah, to answer Sakaki's question, the final volume of RIN-NE Volume 40, will be out this July.
Oh, shit.
Okay. So yeah, we're getting very close. Because next month is Volume 38, so that'll be 2 more after that.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, that sums up all our releases for February. I mean, I think overall it's a pretty solid list. You got a little bit here for everyone.
I definitely have to get Komi and Mermaid Saga so I can write for the blog.
Yeah, I have both of them, but I have to read them. that is my eternal curse.
We have to guilt VLord into writing something for the blog eventually.
I mean, I have a volume of Blue Giant just across my desk that I would love to review for you.
Yes.
So maybe I can make that happen when I have time.
Yes, we would love to have you. But okay, now that we've done the Western side of things, let's head over to Japan. Or well, not before we do that. Actually, we did just get news from Inoue's Shinigami Botchan to Kuro Maid, or well, I'm looking up the title. The Duke of Death and his maid are getting an anime in 2021. There's no air date for it yet, but yeah, this has been a pretty popular title in Shogakukan's Sunday web service, which I guess you could say is kind of the like Jump Plus just for Shogakukan stuff. But Shinigami Bochan has been often featured in Weekly Sunday just because it is just that popular there. Like even when even for the anime announcement, they had a chapter in this week's Shonen Sunday just to kind of say it wasn't so much a celebration of it, but it was just kind of a short thing saying, with the 2 characters and a color page letting you know, hey, the anime's coming, which is interesting for Sunday because I've found lately that a lot of the times when something gets an anime announcement, the magazine either announces it later or not at all. So for them to go deep into announcing this and have a feature in the magazine means they must have just as much interest in this as the fans do. So for the series synopsis, it's pretty straightforward. It's about the Duke of Death, or Shinigami Bochan, and basically he has this power, or curse, that anything he touches dies. So he has to wear gloves pretty much all of the time if he doesn't want to kill anything. And he has his maid named Alice, who stays by his side despite knowing his curse, and she also likes to kind of mess with him. I guess you could say it's kind of got a similar premise to Teasing Master Takaki, but instead it's kind of like a Victorian era kind of like setting. And Alice is the only one that stays by his side. I mean, it's clear that the 2 of them are into each other, but it's kind of just slow boil romance. So, I'm
on the page now, and I see first chapter came out, on Webry, I see it's been available since 2017 October 3rd, and like now there's 177 chapters out.
Yeah, it's been Webry's kind of mainstay, one of their mainstays. I'm not at all surprised that they're giving it an anime now, and it's going to be drawn by JC Staff. And the Shinigami Bochan will be played by Natsuki Hanae, who his other show we talk about once in a while. He's been on this other thing that we know. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, Psyche K.
Yeah.
Yeah, Psyche K.
Yeah,
he was the pervy exorcist. Yeah,
that's right. That's the show I'm talking about, not the other one that.
Yeah, Tokyo Ghoul. Right, he was Kaneki.
Oh my god. And Ayumi Mano is going to play Alice the Maid, who I've not heard of her before, but I mean, I'm sure she'll do a good job.
Time to Google her.
I mean, they have a teaser up and everything too. It looks like they're going for more of a 3D CG look for the anime, which I know that the director, I believe, worked on High Score Girl, which I think that was like
she was Sumi from Demon Slayer.
She was also Garo in One Punch Man? What?
Probably as a baby or a kid.
Okay, that would make sense. I was like, that would be quite a vocal range.
So, yeah, that's something to look forward to sometime in 2021. I mean, I'm thinking with the timing of this announcement that it's likely we'll be seeing this in fall.
Yeah, that's what I believe.
And besides that, we have Aiko Koyama's Maiko-san Chi no Maikanai-san starting on NHK this month. Although, weirdly enough, it's also going to air in October. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but this too is going to be drawn by JC Staff. And
oh no,
it has. Yeah, you
were right. They really are pulling a mappa.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Oh my god.
Like it really feels like they're doing like a whole bunch of stuff now, and it's also looking that like Michael-san will also be 3D CG. I haven't really seen much.
Yeah, it's by the director, I think, that did High Score Girl at JC Staff.
So wait, the director is doing both this and Shinigami Bochan? Because it's the same director that's doing Shinigami Bochan that did High Score Girl.
Okay, it might be Shinigami Bochan I'm thinking of then.
Okay.
Because I knew one of them was the High Score Girl director.
Yeah, that... I'm about to look it up now.
Shinigami Bochan.
Okay, because, Maiko's Yohei Suzuki. So different person.
Oh, yeah, Yohei Suzuki, I know that name.
Yeah, they did, like, the Danmachi spin-off anime.
Okay.
And then a few other things that I cannot remember off the top of my head. Oh, Shimonetta! That's what I was thinking of that was more notable. Shimonetta.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so Michael-san, she is going to start on February 25th on NHK World, and then it'll air in October, I'm assuming, on NHK ETV, excuse me. Oh, I got my Japanese pronunciation ready. And this one's got a pretty good... wow, we've got, like, the vocal cast for this, Kanahana, Mao. We even got Conan himself. Minami Takayama, and Kogoro, Riki Koyama. So they just...
You just know they're going to try to do a murder case now.
Oh my god. I wouldn't be surprised. Riki Koyama, yep, or Scumbag Dad Ging. This has been running in Weekly Shonen Sunday since December 28th, 2016, and it's currently 15 volumes. From what I'm seeing on Wikipedia in English, it's going to be 12 episodes. But Japanese Wikipedia doesn't have an episode count, so that's up in the air. But basically, the story is set in Kyoto's in a geisha quarter in Kyoto, and the geisha rest at this lodge to prepare for their next day, and Kyo, a girl who wanted to be a geisha, couldn't, but now instead she's working as their cook. And basically it's a very kind of slice of life kind of series, very warm. If you're going into this hoping for plot development, you're looking at the wrong series. This is really kind of like Aiko Koyama's sort of. This is kind of her mainstay. She just draws very kind of comfortable, very well illustrated, though. Let me say that very comfortable, very well illustrated slice of life stories. And in this one in particular is about cooking. So every week there's a different plate that's like a different food that's like the center of the chapter. Or in some cases it's just there. It's about the characters this in one chapter, and then the food is just kind of mentioned. But she always goes out of her way to illustrate the food. So it's the kind of thing that's great to watch something while just eating or just enjoying yourself. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching this one. I wonder. I'm assuming if we're gonna get it streaming at all, it would be like the October one. Anyway, let me not make any assumptions on that. Also, friend of WSA's TV, Manga Mogura loves this manga. So.
Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, he absolutely adores this manga. Like, if there's anything that he wanted us to try to get licensed, it was this.
So, would you call this Magi approved Shoggy?
Oh.
Well, wouldn't Magi be Magi approved Shoggy?
That's not what I meant, but I like that.
I'm missing it.
Yeah, I read like the first volume of Maiko a long time back. I thought it was a really nice kind of fluffy read. A nice good feel thing when you need something to relax.
Yeah, like, I mean, essentially all of Weekly Shonen Sunday is that, like, save for, of course, like, some outliers like Fujita, of course, and
Bless Sobote, our savior.
Like, definitely Sunday's whole reason to be is just to make you sit back, to give you a manga that you can just sit back and sort of enjoy. So definitely this fits into that mold. And then besides that, anime news, sales are out. Well, this is good, and this is from the Japanese side of things. I wish we had more numbers for the English side, and maybe that'll be something we could feature somewhere down the line, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can try to dig up some sales. Occasionally, Komi shows up on like MPD Bookscan, but beyond that, it's sometimes pretty hard to find Shogakukan titles that pop up on the radar.
Please, we all know that Komi slayed One Punch Man.
It did. Like,
I mean, Komi slayed like all the manga from other publishers, apparently. It was a while back, I believe. I forget which outlet reported on it, but there was a breakdown that essentially Komi, compared to all other publishers, was outselling like their top titles.
Yes,
so it's definitely doing very well for Viz.
Yeah, and you know, we're not going to shy away from talking about this, but Komi has a very healthy scanlation life. So this is the reason why I bring this up is that that's pretty impressive, considering that a lot of times, like, it's all word of mouth, and and even with scanlations that are caught up on like most Shogakukan things, it's still selling this well. So that just tells you the quality of what you can get out of Komi and the fandom around it. And I mean, one of the biggest things that I get on WSS TV, whenever something else gets the anime announcement, the refrain is always, "Where's Komi?" And I don't know, guys. I'm saying it here so you can hear me. I don't know either. I don't know what's up with that, other than the fact that all I can assume is that Shogakukan's trying, and it's either Oda, not that one, who's just like, "No, you're not animating this until I get to a certain point," or all of the studios in Japan are too cowardly, and Mappa's too busy. So,
if by chance Mappa gets Komi, I would probably quit anime.
Why though?
They don't have to do that.
I mean, I agree, but
Mappa anime almost never get a second season. They always have like some level of like original stuff, which isn't always bad at all. But like, I feel like they meddle a lot into like how some events get portrayed or whatever in certain series. It's like, it's weird. It's not bad at all, but I wouldn't call them the most consistent like studio.
See, those specific issues I wouldn't necessarily blame on Mappa, because I don't think they have full control over how that's done.
I know, yeah. It's just something that's consistent across like very inconsistent like adaptations.
Fair enough. And to bring up a Shoggy title that is consistently popping up on NPD Bookscan, I was quickly looking at the January top adult graphic novels and the top 20 manga graphic novels from NPD Bookscan, and Uzumaki is on both of them. And Uzumaki was published in Big Comic Spirits.
See, there you go. There you go. That's why Asano had it right. You don't mess with Big Comic. Yeah, so that's I actually didn't know that Uzumaki was published in Shogakukan, but that fills me with a sense of undeserved pride.
A good chunk of Ito's work is Shogakukan. Like, it's usually either Shogakukan or Kodansha that he publishes most of his stuff in.
Nice. That's really good to hear.
Good. Now watch him whip and watch him nay.
He's done that though.
Exactly.
With one of your friends.
Yeah. That's what he does when he celebrates his manga selling. He doesn't actually. I just made that up.
He probably cuddles his cat, if anything.
True.
I believe his cat's the one that draws the manga, honestly.
I mean, he drew a manga about his cats.
Are you sure the cat didn't just draw the manga and he didn't just sort of... Anyway. Going with Japanese sales, though, with the manga that came out recently, Yofukashi no Uta, or Call of the Night as Viz, it will release it in April?
Yes, April.
Got it. Okay, so that's...
For some reason, I thought it was March.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, but okay.
It's confusing because review copies of it are already getting shot out there, but yeah, it's April 13th. Okay. The day after my birthday.
Hey, would that happen to be a Friday the 13th?
I have no idea. Let's see.
Probably not. It's probably a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's usually a Tuesday. Viz releases like 90% of their stuff on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I know.
Well, clearly we need to go talk to them to have them release their stuff on Sunday, like nature intended.
But doesn't Sunday come out on Tuesdays?
You shut up, sir. And
Jesus Christ.
Technically you're wrong because it comes out Wednesday.
Yeah, but in our time zone it comes out Tuesdays.
Go moving along. Yofukashi no Uta.
Call of the Night, yeah, baby.
Call of the Night has been on the chart for 4 weeks now and is selling more. This is pretty incredible. Is selling more than Rumiko Takahashi's Mao at 73,330 copies versus 57,299 copies. So, I mean, that's not to say that Mao by any means is doing badly. I mean, with Shogakukan terms, that's still pretty good. But to see that Kotoyama's second series after Dagashikashi, which sadly never got a manga release out here, but the anime is available from Funimation, and it's a lot of fun. I'd say you should check that out. It's doing really well. It's doing, and it's no wonder that Viz didn't let this one slip under their radar. Soccer manga B Blues is also hanging in on the charts, which it's really interesting at 42 volumes that it's like still selling pretty decently. And again, that's another one where I'm not sure why there hasn't been an anime for it. And then we have Sobote, VLord's favorite, still sticking
the king, our master,
still hanging in there at like with 4,000. Oh, B Blues had 5,018 copies sold for week 3, and Sobote was 4,020 copies sold. So, I mean, between 48,000 and 43,000, that's, not too big a gulf. But what's interesting to take away from this is that, Motoyuki Tanaka Sensei has done a couple of series before B Blues, and of course, Fujita is a mainstay in Sunday. So, the fact that those are still selling pretty decently. Unfortunately, that just leads to the other series that unfortunately have dropped off since week 3. Zettai Karin Children, Switch, Aozakura Boe Daigako Monogatari, Amano Megumi wa Sukidarake, and Kakaishi's Kanzenbans, Ponkotsu-chan Kenshochu, and Uraha no Sekai de Arisagawa. Arisagawa especially is kind of a sad case because it's by Nobuyuki Anzai, who brought us Flame of Rekka and Mar.
Oh shit, yeah.
So it only sold 3,274 copies over. And
what volume was it?
It was volume 4.
Oh damn.
And
yeah, that's kind of rough.
Yeah, like it runs in Sunday Super, but I would imagine that Anzai should have enough of a fan base that even with him being away from manga being away from Sunday, I shouldn't say from manga, for as long as he did, you'd think his fans would still be out there for him, but apparently not. And Ponkotsu-chan, that's by Tsubasa Fukuchi, who brought us the Law of Ueki, and it's criminal. It's a real crying shame that that's the only one of his manga that's ever been licensed. I kind of get with you. Unfortunately, Ueki Plus, the series that follows up Ueki, that had a long hiatus and ended with 5 volumes, and that's been kind of a thing with Fukuchi, where his works end up running really short or running into hiatus and then basically coming back to be canceled. But I would still love to see Psych ever come get licensed, even though at this point it's really unlikely. And then Kakaishi, which Viz has released all of, got a new Kenzanban edition, which only sold, volume 15 sold 5,138 copies, and volume 16 sold 5,012.
To be fair, though, I think like 15, 16 volumes in, that's pretty decent. Reader retainership, I guess.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, and these are more for collectors anyway. Like, I mean, I'm sure people who are already bought all of Kakaishi, they probably don't have much of a reason to get these. Although they have a crap ton of extras, color pages, like character profiles, all kinds of things in them, but. Yeah, I can imagine if you're just like, yeah, I like Kakaishi well enough, but not enough to buy it again. I could see you probably passing on this one.
Mm-hmm. Man, I really wish we could get those Kakaishi Kazanbans in the US.
Yeah,
I need them in my blood right now.
I would love to see them come out here too, if only because I know this is the biggest shame on me, but I have like a couple of volumes of the Viz release, but not all of them. And then the Japanese release, I have like the first, I want to say, 16 volumes. I definitely want to fix that at some point. But yeah, Kakaishi is the series that I would say, without a doubt, if anybody were to say, hey, what Sunday series would you recommend that I read? It would be Kakaishi, full stop.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have a Kakaishi episode, just full disclosure.
Yes, we need to.
A Kakaishi episode and a Birdman episode.
They're going to have to be separate, though.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, if we tried to do a Yellow Tanabe like episode, that would be days. Days.
It would definitely be a 2-parter, just because there's so much to cover.
So, but yeah, Birdman's another one that I'm just weirded out that never got licensed, because like I feel like I don't remember how many volumes it is. Like what, 16, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17.
Yeah, it's not like it's a long like investment, so I kind of weirded out that never got picked up. Anyway, that's it for the February releases. Let me see what we got going on next month. And this is all from, of course, like I said, the Japanese Shonen Sunday. Yeah, okay. So what we're looking at, I know for the one thing that is definitely coming out next month is Shogakukan's new darling, Soso no Free-Ren, which we will definitely talk about at some point on the show as well, licensed or not, because that has become like one of Sunday's pillars in 4 volumes. Like it's not quite at Conan level, but to tell you straight up that it's selling better than Tonikaku Kawaii and Sleepy Princess with 4 volumes out, to tell you just how much staying power this series has. But coming out March 17th is March 12th. So weirdly enough, Maiko-san gets like a weird kind of release from the rest of the Shonen Sunday manga, because it's coming out March 12th, Friday. Sunday releases are typically Wednesday. So why Maiko-san gets that kind of treatment, I don't know. But we have Free-Ren coming out March 17th. Sobote, which is having several volumes come out in a row until April, which we thought for a while meant it was going to end, but it's not. Daiku no Hato, which I'm sure is coming out on the 17th, and Maxi's got that on their calendar marked up. Hoankan no Evans no Uso Dead or Love Volume 15. Oh, right. Soso no Frieren 4, Sobote 22, Daiku 14, Evans 15, Mao 8, and Ryu to Ichigo 3, all coming out March 17th. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about some of them at least a little bit in upcoming episodes.
Nice. I personally have to pre-order the new Frieren volume. I forgot about that. There's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
I need to actually read Frieren.
You do, because we're going to excommunicate you from the show if you don't, because like it's the best thing ever. I actually confess I'm like 2 volumes behind on Mao myself. Like I've been reading it obviously in the magazine, but I haven't bought like volume 6 or 7 yet, so I need to do that. I've already got free.
Yeah, I'm on like volume 3 of Mao, I think.
Yeah, it's again, as we mentioned before, if you liked Inuyasha, Mao is definitely returned to form. So you should, and there's no doubt that Viz will get that sooner or later. So definitely watch out for that.
Yeah, I mean they pick up everything Takahashi that moves at this point.
Yeah,
which is a good thing because Takahashi's amazing and she does a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Hello and welcome from the future. We're actually recording this on like a week later from when we recorded our previous episode 0, and we're just tacking this on because, yeah, you guessed it, Viz Media actually dropped some licenses. It's actually like amazing how some of the titles that we were just talking about were just like given to us on a silver platter, and they're going to come out later this year. I believe in November, was it?
Fall
2021. Yeah. I did not check if they put up new listings yet, but they just gave like the general fall 2021 release slate, which is interesting in a way because they'd put up like a bunch of listings up through December, but I guess that wasn't the complete list because all of the licenses that they announced throughout this thing were for fall 2021. So we got a surprise little Viz Direct. They copied the Nintendo formula.
Except they were a little less disappointing.
As expected of the people who publish Pokemon.
I mean, we got no Pokemon at the Direct, so they worked together. There you go. Viz was like, okay. Nintendo's like, we don't got any we don't got any Pokemon. Viz was like, all right, hold our beer, we got this.
Hold our beer, yeah.
But yes, I'm super excited because we're getting Frieren.
Yes, so let's go through each of these one by one. So yeah, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End.
That's a great title, honestly.
It is. I mean, I was a little bit kind of like, huh. But the more I read it, the more I'm just like, yeah, I like it.
It really gets the tone across because, like, the whole premise is like, yeah, this is a story that happens after the Demon Lord is defeated, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, yeah, what happens after Journey's End? And, like, you know, the Japanese is kind of, like, vague in how you can interpret it. It's like Sousou no Frieren, so...
Yeah, it's like Frieren at the funeral or something like that.
Or Frieren of the funeral or something like that. But, like, you know, it's, like, a little open, but this is, like... This can be taken as open, but it also gives you a sense of direction.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of, like... described later on in the manga, we find out that that's the title of the series is actually a title Frieren has due to her reputation.
That shit is actually fucking baller.
It is. It's amazing. And I mean, we're gonna have a Frieren episode eventually. I mean, especially now that we have this news.
It is funny because I guess like after we recorded that episode, we were like, hey, we're going to do Frieren next. And then this happens. So like now we're going to wait for the official release, obviously. Because like it only makes sense.
Yeah, exactly at this point. But yeah, we'll discuss what the ramifications of that later. So I won't spoil. But yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how Viz handles that title. Maybe they'll just use their original Japanese there. But this title's amazing. Everybody should read it. I have nothing else to talk about for the rest of both Twitters are going to be just Frieren places, so be ready for that.
Oh man, what else came out? What else was announced?
Nothing big at all. Just freaking Mao by Rumiko Takahashi.
Wow, the RIN-NE killer.
It's also the Inuyasha killer if you look at it a certain way.
I mean, this is what we were suspecting for such a long time, though, because I feel it's no coincidence that the RIN-NE release is sped up. I feel like they were definitely trying to get through that before they released Mao. And it makes sense, because, like, RIN-NE is going to be done in the summer, and then Mao's coming out in the fall. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, there's a similar team working on it. So that'll be exciting to see, and I'm really glad to see Mao finally getting licensed. I know Lum Ramayasha is also very happy about it, so it's awesome.
Yeah. God, I should link the tweet I had the night before when they dropped the announcement. It's Mao on a milk carton saying, "Where am I? Have you seen me?"
That shit was so funny. And then the next retweet was the license.
Yes, and that was amazing. I feel like I'm the reason why I got picked up. Yeah, I'm taking that. Mm-hmm. Free RIN 2. Yeah, nobody would know about it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, we have those two. And what else do we have? I know we're playing lightning round right now.
Isn't there a Pokemon manga?
Two Pokemon manga.
There we go.
I don't know. I don't have the name in front of me right now, but I do know one of them is essentially kind of an adaptation by Machito Gomi of the current anime.
I've read Machito Gomi's work for another Pokemon adaptation, specifically Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. They usually do quite a good job. So I'm excited to read this, because if they do as well as they did with Evolution, I think it'll be really good.
Then the other one I can't remember off the top of my head at all.
Pokemon Pocket Comics Sun and Moon. And that's by Santa Harukaze. Yeah. So they're previously known for the Pocket Comic version of Pokemon Black and White, and then two other manga, one being Spin Out, and then Apartment of Gundam.
Oh, Apartment of Gundam I've heard of. I've heard of that. It's hilarious. I've read a little too. It's really good.
Yeah, that read in Shonen Sunday S, right?
Yes, I believe so. It's either Sunday... Yeah, I think it's Sunday S. So, that's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny manga, so... I mean, it's also... The title's telling you exactly what you're getting, too. It's the Gundam characters in an apartment. It's like Seinfeld with giant robots.
Really cool. Yeah, then we had one last one here, too.
Yes, the Animal Crossing manga... Mujinto Tairi. Again,
Deserted Island?
Deserted Island. The Deserted Island Diary by Kokonatsu Rumba, I believe.
Coconuts and Roomba? Wow.
That's the author's name.
Yeah, Kokonatsu Roomba. But yeah, the official Viz title is Animal Crossing New Horizons Deserted Island Diary.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and the other notable thing about this is that it's being lettered by the insanely talented Sarah Lindsley.
Yes.
It's being translated by Caleb Cook.
Yes.
Oh my god.
That is an amazing combination right there. You could not ask for a better dream team.
I can't believe we have you're gonna hate me for this. We have Chad Lind Cook and Sarah Chadsley.
Oh god.
Oh man, I only blame VLord. He's basically just added Chad to my vocabulary. I have to add it to everything.
I mean, that's a bigger low even for me.
I mean, it's just Chad Lord, that's all. Or that's what we're calling it now, Chad Lord. But yeah, I haven't actually read this one, but we at WSSTB have reported on it a couple of times, and it looks pretty cute. It runs in Koro, so, it's pretty child-friendly.
Oh, nice.
And, so, I mean, the Pokemon ones as well, so, I mean, Koro, just real quick, is the Nintendo, mecca for all the Nintendo adaptions and other video games. But, so, yeah, Splatoon's there too, I believe, so.
Yeah, it's the perfect manga to give to your 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your preteen, I guess.
I mean, it's always cool to see these get licensed. I mean, Viz has licensed quite a few of the Nintendo Shogakukan manga. The Splatoon one being an example, I've read a bit of that. That's really good. And of course, Zelda Twilight Princess, which is another really good one. So, more the merrier.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's another Animal Crossing manga, too. I wonder if they'll get that.
I would not be surprised to see it get licensed.
That one's more of a shoujo. I mean, it runs in a shoujo magazine, but it's, like, directed towards young girls. So, that... Anyway. But
I mean, there are lots of girls into Animal Crossing, so...
Yeah, true. Friend of the show. I'm sure a friend of the show, Jekka, will be happy to review this one. Or I'll force it on her. Either way, you'll get a review at some point.
But yeah, thanks Viz for saving manga and giving us more work. Because now Sakaki's going to have to splice in this audio.
Yeah, but it's a learning process, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, I guess now we can kind of move along to how we got into Sunday. Unless there's anything else you all want to talk about.
No, I think that's good.
Unless Sakaki wants to talk about the masterpiece, Kimiwa 008.
Okay, let's just get this. Let's just put this out here because VLord is gonna keep making this. So, it is not a masterpiece. It is Shun Matsuena continuing to break my mind every week with his design choices of spandex on everything. And I really want to like his manga because his artwork's actually pretty good when he's not being horny, which is all of the time.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on to the next topic.
Marion's just like, oh god, this was a mistake.
Yeah, for those who aren't aware, Shun Matsuena was the author behind History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi, and their new series is equally horny. Anyway.
Don't read any of their stuff after Kenichi. It just gets worse.
No, you have better
things. It's like a spiral. It's literally like fucking greats, like Air Gear. Just don't do it.
Except Great got better after Air Gear. Look at Bakemonogatari.
Are you sure it's not Bakemonogatari or just Great? Which one? Where's the separation here?
It's both because he makes it better.
Okay, fair.
All right, I guess I'll say it's better. Okay, it's like Great with Tenjo Tenge, because then.
Okay, there you go.
I think the best comparison would be Tsugumi Oba.
Oh god. But we had this conversation where like. At least some of the horny like artists who like can't stop drawing tits like actually care about their female characters. I don't think Oba cares at all about his female characters.
Oh, he definitely does not.
If anything, he's like an actual misogynist. Like,
he really is. Like
we don't utter that name here on what's shown on Sunday, the female respecting magazine, though. Like. We have more heroine per volume than Shueisha could even dream up. So, like,
nothing but facts.
So we're just gonna leave it at that. But yes, how did you all get this Sunday? That's our next topic.
Yeah. I don't know who wants to go first. Unless I can go if you guys don't feel like.
I feel like we've been talking a bunch. So Marion, lead the way.
All right. Well, my Shoggy experience goes back to like watching a lot of like TV and like anime that got like localized and stuff over here in the States, and a lot of my Shoggy like anime was like stuff that I didn't even realize was like Shogakukan, like freaking Marion Awakes Romance or whatever, freaking Zatch Bell. I watched like Kenichi and stuff too. There's a lot of titles that I had like no idea that they were all from like a specific magazine that wasn't like Shonen Jump. And when I got older, I started looking more into like how the industry works and like how all of the different like source materials for different anime come from, mostly manga magazines or like light novels and shit. So like when I realized like, oh, Weekly Shonen Sunday is a thing, I was like, oh, I know some of these titles. Hold on, because I think one of the very first manga that I used to read like scans of back in like freaking like 2007 or it was like Kekaishi actually. That was like the first series that I kept up like weekly with whatever was like getting uploaded. I forgot what team or what group did that. I think it was like Frankie House.
Yeah, I believe it was Frankie House. I do remember reading their work on that.
Yeah, so like I was like, whoa, this is awesome, and it's not really at all like the other kind of, like actiony aimed at boys series that everyone else was also reading, like Naruto, etc. But yeah, like that kind of vibe that Sakaki talked about earlier was just like, yeah, like that's the appeal to Sunday. It's they have Sunday series all have their own specific like pace to them, and it's not they very much like march to the beat of their own drum, and that's something that I really respect because you can be like it can be like an action series, but not have to like constantly rely on turning it up to 11 and like the pacing gets so bonkers and like whoa all these things happening at once, but like yeah, it's nice. I really liked Flame of Recca. Onsai stuff in general was just like my cup of tea. And yeah, like as like time went on, I was like, damn, there's a lot of stuff that like I'm really into because Ushio and Tora, when the anime came out for that, I'm like, whoa, this is so 90s, and it's like this author has been like making tons of like series and like still going strong, like with Sobote and like. Damn, like, oh, I was missing out on so much. And yeah, I think how long ago has it been like 3 or 4 years since we like met each other online, Sakaki? Because like that's when I was like fully like shoggy pilled, so to speak, like aware about like the magazine and everything going on.
Yeah, I would say about that long. Yeah.
I mean, you guys met at like an Otakon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met at an Otakon. I think that was 3 years ago. But before that, we were friends online because there was a Puzzle and Dragons collaboration in
yeah, I remember that
in Weekly Sunday, and I was like, whoa, oh shit, and like that's what clicked with me. Like, oh yeah, this is the magazine that's not Jump or magazine, Kodansha's magazine, and I'm like, shit. I've been missing out on the whole like dimension of shonen manga, which I love shonen manga, and yeah, like the rest is history. I really appreciate what Sunday brings to the table, and yeah, like I'm also glad that we're doing this right now and like talking about Sunday manga in general.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess VLord, did you want to go next? I could save what I have to say for mine.
Yeah, no, let's save the best for last year.
Yeah.
So, for me, like Marion, I didn't really think about like, oh, all these things I'm reading or watching are shoggy when I first like was exposed to like anime and manga.
Mm-hmm.
But coincidentally, one of my probably like I think my first exposure to manga was actually shoggy because it was the single issues of Pokemon Adventures that was released back in the day.
Another one, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so I would always go to my local library when I was a kid. That was my go-to for all my manga goodness. And they would have a bunch of issues of the yellow arc of Pokemon Adventures. And that really just kind of hooked me right away. I think Pokemon Adventures is one of those series that really embraces kind of the laid-back nature that you see in a lot of Shogakukan titles, specifically from a lot of the Shonen and Kodomo series, specifically published by Shogakukan. And I was just hooked right away. And after that, I kind of got introduced to a lot of other series that were Shogakukan related, specifically Zatch Bell and Mare, which were a part of Toonami. Those were like my jams. I would watch Zatch Bell like every week, and Mare, I believe, was on Toonami Jetstream, and I would just always check that out because I thought Mare was so cool at the time.
That fucking kendama shit with the fucking mustache. I forgot his name.
Babo.
Yeah, Babo.
Yeah.
I thought Babo was so cool for some reason.
I can only think back on the Japanese version of his voice actor also voicing one of the Darbys, the older one. And that's all I can think about now. Yeah, it's Banjo.
That's epic.
Yeah.
The Banjo Ginga. Oh, he was also Netero for after his first voice actor died. But yeah. But anyway, sorry.
But yeah, no. So like after that though, like I think people commonly associate me online with my profile pic, Heiji Hattori from Detective Conan, and alongside kind of Marion Bell. Case Closed Detective Conan was kind of part of that holy trinity of Shoggy titles that I was really into. And yeah, I think Conan, out of like most series that I have read or watched, has probably had like some of the biggest influence on me, just because there was a good amount of years when I was in school where I would just watch Conan all day. So yeah, that I have a huge attachment to Shogakukan titles just because of Conan alone. And as like I've kind of gotten into more manga as I grew up, I definitely kind of noticed that, yeah, a lot of series that I really like and a lot of series I'm fascinated about come from Shogakukan. Like Marion mentioned, I think Genix with Sakaki really kind of hit the Shoggy pill into us, like really actively thinking about it. But even when I was actively collecting manga, a lot of the really interesting titles that I found really cool, like Oishinbo or Golgo 13, they came from like Big Comic. And like Sakaki said, like I think Big Comic is kind of the part of Shoggy that really is kind of the prestige category.
They're the criterion of manga.
They really are in a way though, because like there's so many amazing creators that have done work in Big Comic. Like you have Oishin, you have Golgo 13, which is done by Takao Saito. You have Naoki Urasawa. You have Inyo Asano. You have
Taiyo Matsumoto.
Taiyo Matsumoto, yes.
And I mean, you even have like Takahashi that did like really good work there as well. So
yes, her best series, in my opinion, by Sanakoku, which is like one of my favorite manga of all time, was a Big Comic title.
Yeah. So yeah, it's amazing to think about how much has just come there. So what are you saying, VLord? I am your APTX.
I guess so.
We're calling you Morpheus, handing us the red pill.
Yeah, in a way. But like, I think part of it too is like, now that I kind of review a lot of manga too, it's forced me to break out of kind of that usual Shonen Jump comfort zone. And now, like, I'm actively looking at it, like, okay, these are all the new series that are releasing now. Just because, like, I have to pick out, like, okay, what am I going to review? What am I not going to review? All that jazz. And whenever I see a Shogakukan title, my eyes lit up because, like, I know it's going to be probably something interesting. And I think that's something that is kind of really cool. And I find, like, the more Shogakukan titles we get, even though I feel like I would love to see more of them get released, whenever we do get one, it's something really good.
Yeah, I would call Shoggy manga the least derivative that we get.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I'm a bit biased, but yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is like, while Viz is technically owned by like both Shogakukan and Shueisha, Shueisha is kind of the front facing because that's Shonen Jump. A lot of the flagship titles for Viz are going to be Jump titles, and then Kodansha publishes their stuff through Kodansha Comics, Kodansha USA. So like they kind of get everything, even random niche Kodansha titles that probably wouldn't necessarily do well outside the digital model. But because of that, I feel a lot of Shogakukan titles kind of get the shaft, which is a shame because I think there are a lot of smaller Shogakukan titles that would probably do really well if like they were either given the chance or maybe went for a digital only route, which is kind of a good thing why Yen Press and Seven Seas are also starting to publish a few more Shogakukan manga as well. Because I think the more that we get from Shogakukan, the better, just because I feel there's such an untapped pool of series that people haven't been exposed to. And even the ones that are out, available in English, I think a lot of people haven't checked out. Like, I mentioned Golgo 13 Oishinbo, both two of the longest running manga of all time by volume count. And there are best of collections of both of them available from Viz, and you can still buy them digitally.
Yeah, I think they're even on Bookwalker for like Oishinbo and stuff.
Oh, wow,
I know they're on the Japanese side. I don't think they're on the English side.
I can double check.
But at the very least, I know like you can buy them off of Comixology and Viz's website. So like they are readily available.
Wow, I didn't know that they were digitally available. I mean, I knew Viz had done like best of these, but I always just
Oishinbo is on Bookwalker.
Oh shit!
Oh wait, no, I fucked up. Never mind. I got the wrong one.
Okay.
It was, and then it got taken off.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, at the very least, though, you can get it at like most of the platforms that Viz uses for digital releases. And yeah, I think like it was a few years back that they added Oishinbo and Golgo digitally, which I think is really good because they are classic series that I feel need to be continually be permeated into the manga community. Like they're like the equivalent to Kochikame in a way.
Yeah.
In terms of legacy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I agree.
And yeah, that's basically the end of my story. I just am hooked on Shogakukan manga now. Partly because of Sakaki.
God, you guys are... I don't even... If I weren't so macho, I'd cry, but... but I am...
Do it, coward.
Okay, so I guess it wouldn't be a far-fetched to say that a lot of the reason why we're doing the show is because of me, which I'm extremely flattered by. Like, my Shogakukan story starts millions and millions of years ago when we were still living in caves. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I don't really remember what my first Shogakukan series was. Because like a lot of people, and pretty much the whole reason why I'm doing WSSTV is that a lot of the times, even back when scanlations are still a big thing, but unfortunately, but back in the day where it was like the Wild West, everybody assumed everything was in Jump. And, you know, I could kind of tell that, okay, no, this doesn't feel like a Jump series. This feels different. I don't know how, but it does. So, and this was back before I really knew Japanese or whatever, so I was relying on scans too. And, you know, I was reading through scans. Then one day, you know, putting all the laundry out there, I was watching The Law of Ueki through, which again, I'm not sure if it was my first Shoggy or if it was just a Shoggy, but this was the one that had the most influence on me. So I was watching Law of Ueki, was being subbed by, I think, Shinsen Subs. Very inaccurate subs, very slow, very slow.
Those are old.
Yeah, they were really old school. And this was back in the day where there was no Crunchyroll, so I'm dating myself. There was no CR. There was not. The subbing was basically done by a bunch of college students whenever they had a minute between classes. That's how it worked.
People had to use IRC.
Exactly.
No one knows about IRC these fucking days.
No. Exactly. I mean, I didn't know it. I just got lucky that when I was in college, God, I'm old. When I was in college, I was able to go and like torrent them because at home I only had dial-up, so I was just torrenting anime and, you know, burning it to CD and bringing it home to watch it. And then I got to Ueki one day, and I was watching Ueki, and I was like, "Oh, I really love this show." But then, like, again, unlike CR where you get an episode every week, we'd be lucky if we got a new Ueki episode every month. So I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting. So I went to Kinokuniya online and I ordered, like, I figured out using Baba Fish and all of these other things, figured out around where the anime was, where Shinsen Subs had stopped, where it was kind of like lagged. And then I just bought the volumes 9 through 16, figuring out, okay, they're about here. And that was, not only was that my, like, premier Shogakukan experience, it was also what led me into learning Japanese, which is why I'm even here now. Because I read Ueki, volume 9 through 16. At first, I didn't understand what the hell was going on. So I took a Japanese dictionary and just kind of kept, you know, I would read it once, you know, pick up the dictionary, read it again. And every time I learn a little bit new, And until I got to a point where I was able to at least kind of get through volumes 9 through 16 of Ueki, and then by the time Shinsen Subs finally got around to subbing those episodes, I already more or less knew what they were about. So that made me feel good, and it made me want to pursue Japanese. And ironically, Pokemon was the other reason, which is when I was younger, a friend of mine had Pokemon Silver, so I wanted to play that in Japanese. But that's a whole different story. So I got around to Ueki, and then Ueki Plus started, and a Chinese friend of mine was like, "Hey, I got the raws for like a couple of Japanese chapters. You want to work on those?" And I translated them badly, but I did them, and that made me happy too. So for a while, then after that, I became known as the Gintama guy. I betrayed my publisher, and I was known as the Gintama guy for a while, and then. Once again, Fukuchi, Tsubasa Fukuchi. Basically, a lot of what I owe to Shogakukan is from Fukuchi. Like, he started Inaggle Mole in Shonen Sunday, and I wanted to translate that, so I started working on that. And then it went on hiatus, which, as I mentioned before, was kind of a thing for Fukuchi. And then I found a website that I just had the crazy idea. This website would allow you to subscribe to Shonen Sunday issues and get them from Japan. It was ridiculously priced, and I don't recommend it because it's like a $5 magazine and $20 shipping.
Dear God!
And it wasn't a thing where you could just like, oh, I'll just pay for a couple of months. And no, you had to pay for like a year subscription. So I was spending a whole lot of money on this, and I was also getting guests on too, which was a little bit more reasonable since like those come out once a month compared to Sunday it came out every week. But yeah, and I was just getting physical Sunday every week. I was like, I hope this week Inaggle Mole will be back. I'm sure of it. And I found
my God,
that was me. That was totally
a tale of pain and suffering.
But it all worked out because I still have it I have it in on my bookshelf, the issue where Inaggle Mole did finally return, and I still have it. Like. And it's my treasure. Like the other physical Sundays I had, I ended up having to throw them out, which I really wish I hadn't. And I gave a bunch to my girlfriend, like the ones that had like Conan or RIN-NE. I know I gave her a few with Conan on the cover and a few with one with like RIN-NE on the cover. So she has those, and one day I'll get those back, and we'll have a whole shelf of just those physical issues I had. And it was around that time that Sunday finally went physical. So, and to backstep a little bit, Inaggle Mole ended, then Psych began, and I started translating that. And it was around that time, and because of Fukuchi's like tendency to go on hiatus because he had a lot of like medical issues, Psych was published a lot. It was akin to Hunter x Hunter, but not the same thing. Which is that Psych would come in for like a volume's worth of content, then take 2 or 3 months off, then come back. So for a while, I was translating Psych, and I was putting it on Twitter, just like a lot of like what like Caleb does and David does, which is like I talk about, oh, this is why I translated this, and this is why I translated that the way I did, and so on and so forth. And I know I'm getting to the part where WSS TV was born. Essentially, when Psych was out of the magazine, then it was like, well, I have nothing to do, and so then I just started talking about the magazine instead. And around that time, Shogakukan finally took Sunday and went digital. They were last. Shueisha and Kodansha had been done that. So finally, Shogakukan did. So I was like, whoa, I can buy things off of Amazon Japan, and I could buy things on Kindle. So then I started buying Sunday on Kindle. And yeah, Psych wasn't in the magazine. Like, it's funny because the very first issue of Sunday that was available digitally was the last chapter of that volume of Psych. So like it was going to go on hiatus for 2-3 months. So I was just like sitting there, and I was like, what do I want to do with this? I'm bored. I have no Psych to translate. So I just started talking about the magazine on Twitter. And then after a while, I was just like, well, okay, would you guys want to read a blog about this? And I put out a poll, and I asked everybody, and they were like, yeah, sure, we would do that. And that's how WSS TV, the blog, was born. So essentially, my Sunday story owes a lot to Fukuchi. It was only after that, as much as people think I'm like this huge Shogakukan like expert, I'm not. I really only got into the magazine around 2013. So, and then from there, I just started learning stuff, using the Japanese I know to learn more stuff, to get to talk to more people. And it's really a tale of just how much I got to love this magazine. And people started saying, hey, this guy, he's really into this Shonen Sunday thing. Maybe we can give him a hand. That's how I met people like Yonko and Mogura, and even have a couple of editors following WSSTB. And eventually that's what brought me to you guys. As for anime wise, yeah, I was really into Zatch Bell, Flame of Recca, but again, those were things I didn't even know were Shogakukan. I mean, even Zatch Bell, Recca, not Recca, Zatch Bell, Mar, and Ueki all aired around the same time in Japan. So Mar, I was kind of used. I was seeing that along with Ueki, and sometimes Zatch Bell as well. But yeah, mainly it was just the thing with Fukuchi. I have the most. I will admit, I have the biggest one-sided man crush on him. Like, whatever he does, I'm always following him. Like, if it weren't for him, I would generally say, like, my life would probably be way different. I probably wouldn't be here right now. I don't know if I know you guys. Probably in some way or another, we would have ran into each other. But
I respect that a lot. I've been like a manga and anime fan for a really, really long time, and I think like probably the closest I've ever gotten to having that kind of like, I guess like an influence, like really feeling like gratitude and also like, wow, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't really be where I am. It's like probably I would, if I had to name someone, it would probably be Araki and JoJo, but that like it was actually like around the same time. Like I think I started reading that like in like 2011. It was like way like a year or two before actually the anniversary announcement, and when we got like the 2012 anime or whatever. And like that just like kind of kickstarted my whole foray into like reading much more and like looking up what kind of people like work as like staff for like anime or for like like as like assistants to other mangaka and stuff like that. So like
yeah,
it's cool, man. It's just when you find something that you really click with, and it just opens up the channels for you to like get into even more stuff. I love hearing about that.
Yeah, and I do, and ironically, JoJo could have been in Sunday if Araki weren't intimidated by the Shogakukan building, and I love that story.
I remember that story. It's so funny.
Like,
God, imagine.
Can you imagine right now that like
Araki and Fujita in the same magazine?
Right? I mean, they would have not now since he moved to Ultra Jump, but I guess that would be, then we would have Black Lagoon and JoJo Lee in the same magazine, because most likely he would have moved to
GX. Or if it was like Big Comic, we'd have Asadora and JoJo Line in the same magazine.
God,
that'd be too insane.
That would be
my brain couldn't take it.
Like, and it's funny. I love that story because it's just like what Marion just said. It's that kind of thing that made me like go further than just surface level. Oh, okay, I know what's in Sunday. Oh, I know Takahashi. I know Aoyama. I'm good. It's learning, like, reading.
This opens the floodgates.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the more that you get passionate about that kind of thing, the more stuff you learn. Like, I've learned more. Like, I know Fujita's assistants now. Nekoguchi. We've discussed this before. That Nekoguchi was one of his assistants, and one of the first things Fujita asked him is like, "Why do you want to be a mangaka?" "I want to draw asses."
And now he gets to do that. I am so proud of him. I am so proud of him.
It's such a Nekoguchi thing to say, because like, let's face it, Amano Megami is just about a thick girl.
It is, and I love those kind of just stories. And like Hiroshi Fukuda, who drew Mushi Bugyo, like, it was his dream to be Fujita's assistant. Fujita and Aoyama. I don't remember. It was one he didn't get to be the assistant under, but he got to be the assistant of the other one. But he grew up reading Conan and Ushio and Tora, and he just looked at those and said, "I want that to be me," and he made it happen.
That's fucking poggers.
And also, you can really see the Fujita influence in his work too.
Yeah, so it's likely that it was Fujita that he managed to get to be the assistant for, because I know he wanted to be both of them, but he wasn't able to get to one. So yeah, it's probably Fujita, which, yeah, you can, if you read Mushi Bugyo and then read something like Sobote, you could definitely see that. that
the sharp angles give it away.
Yeah, exactly. And just the ridiculous poses and just like Fukuda definitely. I please come back, Fukuda, please. But yeah, it's just that kind of thing of just, finding something you're passionate about and turning it into something. I would have never thought, if you had asked me I started WSSTV to blog in 2017 and the Twitter in 2019. And to think that I'm actually doing a Shonen Sunday podcast right now, it's amazing to think about. And that I know like big names that are moving in manga. Like Mogura can get something licensed by just sneezing on it, and 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 he retweets my stuff, and it's just and of course knowing you two because of this and that I'm just hearing now. I know we've talked about it like on and off, but I didn't know that it was a thing that was like, yeah, we were really into Shoggy because of you, and it's just man, I'm out of words.
Yeah, and it's kind of insane to think about. Like, I've known you for like 5 years at this point.
God,
it's like, geez, so much has happened.
It's just odd how much people keep saying I've learned so much about Shogakukan from you, and hearing it from you guys is just amazing.
No, yeah, like it's something that we all like go through, where it's just like when someone else's enthusiasm is just that infectious. It's what helps, like, spread the love and appreciation for whatever stuff that a friend of yours might like, and that's what also encourages other people to try out something that maybe they didn't think about before. So yeah, it's just good vibes all around.
To flatter Sakaki more, though, not to interrupt Marion, but Sakaki, what he does with WSSTB, he's covering a niche that no one else is really covering. You have Manga Mogra that covers like literally everything, but no one does the breadth and depth specifically for Sunday that Sakaki does.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
And if anything, he was actually the first one to start that kind of stuff, because the Jump Twitter, the magazine Twitter, they all came after your Shogakukan one. So
yeah,
you're a trailblazer.
Yeah, I know. I thank you. Mm-hmm. I actually checked that out the other day after we had that little like snafu, and yeah, WSSTV started January 2019. The Shonen Magazine unofficial Twitter started June, and then the Shonen Jump Twitter started September. And all those guys have grown past me. I mean, I'm good friends with the both of the people that run those accounts. I'm good friends with both of them. I mean, I even translate the table of contents for Shonen Magazine for the Shonen Magazine account. It makes me salty each week every time they get way more retweets. But but that's okay. We're all working together here. It is just a tale of just knowing, just being passionate about something. I mean, as much as I love to see Shogakukan become bigger, I think Maxi put it best, and one day we'll have them on here. But Maxi, this is the thing that I always just kind of go by, which is that for Shogakukan's weekly Sunday is just kind of like their hobby, which is why they don't seem to push as hard as like Magazine and Shueisha does, because they know big comic is where they make that's what they're going to be remembered for. Like the shonen stuff is just something we just kind of do on the side. And if it's successful, great. If it's not, then whatever. But I mean, that gives.
Are you calling Sunday the Xbox of Microsoft?
Oh my god!
No, it isn't. Like it would explain why they take so long to make anime of weekly Sunday stuff, and the fact that stuff doesn't sell and they just keep it in a magazine anyway. Because it's like. We're okay with big comic. We're good with that. We don't really. Okay, well, I guess if Yofukashi and Freerun make a little money, that's great too. But like, that seems to be their attitude towards it. And translating the interviews with like the current lead editor Ichihara, which definitely one day I would love to just talk about his view on like shonen manga, because it's very interesting. But like, yeah, translating his interviews, you definitely get the idea that because they're in the position they're in, they can do things that the other shonen magazines wouldn't dare to, simply because it's like, hey, we have nothing to lose anyway. So I really love Sunday for that kind of atmosphere, even to the fact that they have different page number lengths for their manga. So it's not like you're stuck drawing 19 pages a week. You'll have some weeks where Komi will be like 4 pages, or Tonikaku will be like 8, and then you have Sleepy Princess that's only 10 a week. So
whatever works for the author, like that's great.
Exactly, like Birdman started off weekly, then went to monthly because Yellow Tanabe, and they kept it in weekly Sunday. They didn't just shove it into some other magazine on the side. They said if it works better for her to do a monthly manga in the weekly magazine, they made a whole niche just for her. And then they added other series. Alice in Borderland was the same, and Yugami-kun ga Tomodachi ga Inai also was the same. They all just ran monthly in the weekly magazine. So I just love the atmosphere that Shogakukan has just in the manga, that they're all laid back and in how they do their business.
Yep, the appeal is just how flexible they are.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really fruitful discussion. You guys want to transition into signing out and like plugging everything?
Yeah.
Sure. So, VLord, why don't you start us off, since you usually end on our other podcasts?
Yeah, God, this still feels so weird. But yes, you can find me on Twitter at VLordGTZ, and I do a number of things online. First off, manga and light novel reviews, which you can find on all-comic.com, and I also do various editorials and articles for TanamiFaithful.com. But then I also do a number of podcasts besides this one. Probably too many. First up, the Demon Slayer podcast, which I do with both Marion and Sakaki. That is on Twitter at DSlayer Podcast. And then also Oversoul Shaman King podcast, which I also do with them, which is on Twitter at Shaman King Pod. And besides that, I do a kind of general anime and manga podcast with a few of my friends called the Dumb Weebs Podcast, and you can find that on Twitter at DumbWeebsPod. Beyond that, there are a few podcasts that I kind of occasionally pop up on. The main one would be the Tanami Faithful Podcast, which I'm sort of a regular on. That's on Twitter at Tanami Podcast. So if you want to hear me talk about Tanami, that's where you should go. And then I also randomly will show up on the Manga Mavericks podcast, and I also co-host Manga Mavericks at Movies. You can follow Manga Mavericks on Twitter at manga_Mavericks, I think.
Nice. Sakaki, what about you?
You can find, well, we talked about so much, so here you go. You can hit me up at WSS at the WSSTV blog first, WSStalkback.blogspot.com, and then the Twitter at WSS Talkback. As mentioned, we try to cover pretty much everything Shogakukan related. Reviews, interview translations, the entire magazine as it comes out every Wednesday in Japan. So definitely hit us up there, and Marion writes for us there, and we're going to keep trying to guilt VLord into it until he does. I also am, as VLord mentioned, on Demon Slayer podcast and Shaman and Oversoul, and I do write for Toonami Faithful as well. You can also find me at Kirobon, KIIROBON. That's my personal Twitter. Not a whole lot going on there, but I'm trying to start reading more manga, both Shogakukan and otherwise. Yeah, everything else is just otherwise. So if you just want to hear my opinions on manga that I'm reading, you can definitely hit me up there. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. As for me, my personal Twitter is microwavy, the E before the V. I do write reviews for WSSTV. I cover mostly Sunday titles that Viz publishes, like Komi Can't Communicate, Fly Me to the Moon, aka Tonikaku Kawaii. I'm gonna write one out for Call of the Night once I get through that. And yeah, just a lot of Shoggy stuff in general. I write for on the blog, and I also write reviews on my personal blog. That's heavensdoorknob.wordpress.com. And I do write editorials as well for Toonami Faithful at toonamifaithful.com. I co-host a lot of other podcasts. Sometimes you can find me on MHA Pod for My Hero. I guest there sometimes. I co-host the Good Friends Anime Club at Good Friends Anime Club on Twitter. DSP with the boys, Oversoul, Haikyuu Pod. Well, we should be recording one soon for that. I'm on way too much. My only solace is that I don't have to edit any of these episodes, so...
Marion found the ultimate solution.
Yes. Oh my god. And for this podcast, you can find us on Twitter at Saturday Night Shoggy. And we're also on Anchor at SNS, or, Saturday Night Shoggy. Sooner or later, we should be on every other podcast platform. Look forward to that. New episodes will be coming out monthly, so look forward to that as well. And this was our premiere episode, our episode 0. We hope you enjoyed, and look forward to the next one.
And feel free to reach out to us. We want to hear from you guys too. I mean, it's not much of a podcast if we're just talking all the time to nobody.
Add us or slide into our DMs.
Yes.
If you have any ideas for episode themes that you want to hear, shoot us a DM or email.
If you want us to do a Fujita TED Talk, let's go.
Yeah, I think that's it. This has been Saturday Night Shoggy.
This goes out to all of you Lady Shoggy fans. No, everybody in general. We love everybody. We love everybody. I just always wanted to say that.
Well, your wish came true.